Well, hello, it's Jeffrey Shaw speaking to you from Darwin. We've actually done a 67-day trip from the Gold Coast up to Darwin, finally arrived. And I've got to thank I've got to thank Verinda Singh, a friend and acquaintance and a business associate, who's picked me up and brought me out to his place so I could do the show live from a suburb mini town called Palmerston. So without further ado, tonight's really special, and I'd like to give thanks to Andrina to invite Carmen on tonight, this morning for you guys in the UK, Europe. So without further ado, hello Andrina, hello Carmen.
Hello Jeffrey. Hello, Andrina.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Dreaming the New Dream. If you're an old listener or a new listener, you're very welcome. Today it's the 27th of June 2025, and it's my great pleasure to connect with Carmen Jitariuc again. And I had the pleasure of connecting with her or with you in March at the International Conference on Sovereignty of Nations with the Irish Republic and Brotherhood. And it was a fantastic weekend, and I'd gone to the sacred sites, met Lady Crown and all the rest, and John, and we went to a ball and had a lovely weekend. So I've got lovely memories, lovely connections. And when I met Carmen, you were involved in so many things. You're a dedicated complementary therapist, and I know you've studied and teach kinesiology, which is one of my favorites, because I always think, well, I've got this going on in the body, and I know when you have work with somebody who does kinesiology, it's not that's going on, there's something else is going on. So I always think, well, I like that because it's your body telling you instead of you saying what you think it is. So anyway, you work on so many avenues, you've got so many strings to your bows and so much more. And I know you're working with ancestral trauma and, oh gosh, there's so much more. So let's start at the very beginning. You were born in Romania, and let's go from there to where we are now in a nutshell. So welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here. And thank you, Andrina, and thank you, Jeffrey, for having me here. It was a magical weekend in Ireland, and thank you for coming and taking part in such a historical event. Yes, and I do work in many areas, and I do have many avenues that I'm looking at. I'm born in Romania. I'm coming from a humble family of 8 children. My father was a sort of a rebel. He wasn't complying with the communism. He was like, he knew there is much more to life than being tangled to communism. And from my father's side, I'm his 7th daughter, and all my other sisters are alive. We had a great childhood until he passed away, and then everything changed. Everything I knew, it changed completely to a different life. So then when the real journey of a lifetime starts. So at 11, when he passed away, I did experience seeing the first time a soul leaving the body. And a few years later, when my mother passed away, I seen the same thing with my mother. I did see things before happening, and I could feel things before even knowing that they actually come into existence. My mother was a very strong woman. We was kind of like giving her a nickname of a general, because she had to make sure all the 8 kids are educated, and she was very, very strict, but she was always by the book. What I mean by the book, install core values, life principles, and like that was the main goal. We wasn't allowed to talk back. Respect was the main key in our education. We learned from very, very young to earn our own money and give value to the things and put value in everything we do. So we had a great upbringing. And she passed away 9 years later. What happened was that when my father died, there was many questions that was left to me that I've been searching answers for. why he did pass away 2 days after my mother was diagnosed with a brain tumor. It didn't make sense. He just died, but he made peace with himself and he go. But I found out that years later, and my mother was given 3 to 6 months to live. And 9 years later, she was still strong. We were still going to a bar and having a liquor and a chat and having a laugh. So this was the things that kind of like stayed. And what she did, she turned completely into natural health. All the herbs, all the remedies from food, all the way she was living. So that was very important in my education in regards to health. I learned all the plants, how to create remedies since I was 11. I was taking to the mountains since I was 7 with my father. And he was showing me how the plants work, how the environment works, how to forage, how to identify mushrooms, how to make basically like to survive in case something happened. Because we was born into a country with no future, basically. We didn't know what to expect. And he took part in the revolution in 89 when the communists was shut down, basically, and they killed the dictator. So it was interesting what it followed up afterwards. So yes,
that's a great start he gave you, hey?
Oh, he gave me a life lesson that it will be part of who I am, and it's not just a lesson itself. It did made who I am today, because I was very close to my father. He never had a boy, so he had altogether 11 daughters.
11.
And
wow.
Yeah, he was married first time. He divorced. He had 2 daughters from the first marriage. He divorced because he fell in love of the wife of a colonel that was living in Bucharest. They basically had a love romance affair, whatever it was called at that time. He gave the name to the daughter that was his 3rd daughter. And after that, while he was divorcing from the first wife, my mother was divorcing from her first husband, with who she was married for 16 years and no children, and she wanted children. So they met in the courthouse. And through communism, you wasn't allowed to divorce unless you wasn't having, your character wasn't matching, or your personality was completely different and you couldn't work it out. That was the only reason, from what I did understood, that they was able to separate. So they've been witnessing for each other divorce case. And my mother was like, at that time, she had to split her fortune from her little apartment. So the first husband took everything from the apartment, and she was left with an empty apartment. So she needed a painter. So that was the start of the love romance between my father and my mother. And it led to 8 children, all healthy, all born, the whole lot. So that's altogether 11. But they was very happy. You see, it's something that I don't see in the couples today. They never argued. They never fought. They were sitting down, they was talking, and if something was broken, it was fixed. And if there was something that needed to be dealt with, we were sent outside to play. We never heard them like having an issue or a problem. We always saying, everybody at the table, everybody saying whatever was happening at the dinner table. And they was happy. There was like something that I was like eager to have myself. And it was so hard to find that thing. And I said like, oh, when I will be an adult, I'll be married and have loads of kids and I'll be like my father and my mother. But it didn't work like that for me. So yeah, the difficulties started after my father died, the financial difficulties. He was involved in many things. He was a miner. He was into trading. He was into building. He was very good at building things with his own hands, creating things. He loved creating, from drawing things to bring them into existence. He was brilliant with that. He had a very strong community around him because he did build up the community. He did build up a garden, and that's the place where all the kids my age and all my siblings learn the gardening and the love for the nature. We did learn to grow food, and we did learn how to harvest it and how to do things. And so it's a lot of things happening in the same time. And at 16 years of age, at 15, I got in love. I thought he's the love of my life. And that was the moment when I got pregnant. I didn't know what that's really happening, because at that time, sexual education wasn't really talked about it was a massive taboo. And buying condoms, the minute you was entering a pharmacy, you was shut down because your parents will find out straight away. So whatever was happening in the small town of Câmpulung Moldovenesc in Bucovina, and wherever you was going, everybody knew. So you have to be very, very cautious because it's who you knew. And if you was walking on the street and not saying hi to a neighbor, that was another thing. So yeah, that was the first love of my life and the first partner I ever had. And I had my daughter. I kind of hid my pregnancy because I wasn't married. I was in high school. And my mother did figure out that something is not in the right place. And she said, "Are you pregnant?" And I said, like, no. How could I be pregnant? Oh, you definitely are. You're hiding something. And I remember my partner at the time came at my mother to ask for my hand. But he didn't ask for my hand. He asked, "What is your dowry to your daughter?" And my mother said, "What you see is what you get. And if you really love her, you both can build up things the same way I did with her father." He walked away. And that was a shock for me. And I say, okay, now where I'm going from this. And I had my first daughter. I was single at that time. I decided, okay, something is not working. He was having abusive behavior, and I could not accept that. I continued with my school. Meanwhile, I had a great teacher who was a strong pillar, because I did need a male support in everything that was happening. So my teacher, Jaluba Petru, from my high school, he was actually like always there for me. And I had great classmates that fully supported me with my daughter. And even through my exams, they was coming and doing night shift and watching over my daughter in order for me to be able to study for my exams. And my mother was a great pillar. I had my second daughter not long afterwards. They are called Irish twins because they're born a year and a month apart. Alexandra. And then I decided, okay, it's not really working out. I tried. So I decided, okay, I can raise my kids, I can work, my mother can help me with the school and my kids when I'm in school. And in the breaks, I was coming to breastfeed. And I graduated, finished it. And that was the first qualification I ever got. It was forestry technician, because my love for nature, it never stops. And I wanted, actually, the reason was because I really wanted to do a change in regards to the forestry in Romania. And I wanted to see, like, how can we do things, always to be involved and change things. And my fees in regards to the high schools, they was covered by an English charity, actually. A lady from Wales called Valerie Newton from Wales International Romanian Aid, that she was hiring me for the summer as a translator to translate for the camp she was organizing, and she was covering my fees for the high school. And like that, I was able to keep into study, not worry about the fees, and be able to have the money I was earning from my jobs, raising my kids, or from my trading, small trading, and selling plants and buying things and to feed the kids and help my mother with the household bills. It was quite interesting. And after that, not long after, my mother passed away after I graduated. And I found myself with two younger sisters. And then I started to learn the battle of the courts. So I went, so all my sisters signed for my two younger sisters to be taken into a foster home. And my mother, the conversation I had before she passed away, the night before, she said to me, no matter what's happening, please look after them and raise them. And I said, okay, I'll leave you in charge of the family. And the same thing my father said when I was 11, I leave you in charge of the family. You'll be the head of the family one day. It didn't really actually resonate with me. I was just a kid. What would I know? But the night before, in my conversation with my mother, she was talking about her funeral arrangements, how things need to be done, how I need to protect my sisters, how the assets will be shared and everything. And I said, oh, you're crazy. And she slapped me and she said, don't ever disrespect me again. And I was like, oh my God, I did it. And second day in the morning, she passed away peacefully. I stopped her from going, and she asked me, please let me go. So I had to let her go peacefully, and she did. After the funeral, everything was okay. All my sisters came from all around the world, because one was in Spain. Two of them did run away with the circus when they was young. So one was in somewhere in the countryside in my father's house. So all of them came for the funeral. But we realized it's just us, the sisters, all the family from my mother and my father's side, they didn't come to support us. And I found that like a shock, because I was expecting, oh, we have such a huge family, we will have the support we need. We didn't. So after the funeral, everybody went their own ways. But all my sisters, the rest of my sisters, except the young ones, they agreed for the younger ones to go in the foster home. And I said, like, no, that's not happening. That's not my mother's wish. So the children protection interfered, and the authority from the council, they came and they say they do not have a legal guardian, and you have 2 kids on your own, that you're a single mother, we'll take them away. And I said, no, that won't happen. You'll have to fight me. So we end up battling through the courts for 2 years. But what it shocked me, after 2 years, they put me to get unemployment. I worked in a factory. I worked like literally like a slave for a French company. They was doing interiors for Ferrari. And we was actually worked like 2 shifts, and we was getting really low pay. There was not enough, not even to survive. I gave up that one. And after 2 years in the courts, I come in the front of the judge and I said, like, hold on a minute, because they was at the final decision. Because every time they was giving a decision, I was appealing and again and again. And I said to them, you can't take them away. They're my blood, they're my flesh. They are my sisters. And I'm the only one who are here for them. And it's something you can't put a price on. It's nothing you can do about it or something like that. And then it hit. I said, like, hold on. You can't take them away, because they're basically my property now. I'm left in charge of everything what's happening with the family. And then the judge ruled that they do not hold any legal ground for them to take the kids into care. But I didn't understand then, why is that? What really happened in that moment in the court? And we're talking 2006 to 2008. And that kind of puzzled me. He stayed with me for many years. But I was hearing my father talking many times when he was having a drink, the word sovereign. And I said, like, that's interesting. What's that word? It came many years late in life when it did really make sense. A few years after I had my son from another relationship, I fell in love again. I decided to move on and fall in love again. Didn't really work out again, but I didn't understand why I cannot hold a relationship, and it did resonate with me many years later. It was all the ancestral trauma that happened, everything that was passed on to me, all the insecurities I was having, all the traumas I had as a kid prior to that, after my father losing the support and the security, and further up. And I stayed in Romania until like 2011. Or until then, since 2009 to 2011, I did travel in different countries and I did work, normal jobs. In Spain, I was picking up nectarines and peaches. Italy for cleaning. I went to France to look after someone. Traveled to Belgium. I didn't like it. Went back home quick. Germany. I was looking at things differently from different perspectives. Didn't work out. I couldn't adapt. I was in a small city and I said, like, no, it's not for me. I have to get out. And my sister said to me, I was in a bit of a trouble at that stage, covered in debt and things. And one of my sisters said to me, oh, I get you a ticket. You come to Ireland. Where is Ireland on the map? I don't even know. And I said, it doesn't matter. I have to go. I need to make money to buy a house for the kids. By that time, my 2 younger sisters, they already found partners and had kids, so they kind of flee the nest. They kind of basically run away from home before even turning 18. because they fall in love and they say they want to be independent and have their own life. And it was nothing for me to do about that. So I had to go along with it. Ireland was an interesting journey. I came in Ireland on the 13th of February 2011. I didn't know what it will happen here. 15 years later, I'm still here, and I don't regret a bit. Was the toughest challenge I ever had in life. Was different than even raising my kids on my own. It was different. I left my kids behind. I couldn't bring them with me. I left them to be minded by a lady who didn't treat them right. And that added up to the trauma of them being left on their own, and add up to everything that's been happening prior to that, being raised without the father and dealing with the society looking down on them. Because you see, we still have that mindset to some extent in Romania, in the villages and cities, that if you are a single mother, you did something bad, you are to be blamed, is not the man. But I looked at it that I had a voice, I had to get out, it wasn't for me, and I could not live like that. So I just kept going, and I said, like, whatever is happening, I'll make it happen. I did live with my sister in her home and her partner at that time for 8 months. I was working for him, and you see, when family and money are involved, they don't really work together. So I wasn't treated fairly at work. I was overworking, dropping leaflets and newspaper, but quite a hard job, because you would do at least 40k a day walking and carrying a heavy bag of leaflets and newspaper, and no matter what she was doing was never enough. And she was cutting off my wages, and we did fall out because I needed all my money, and I said, like, whatever is due for the bills and things you can keep. And so I did end up on the streets of Dublin with less than €5 in my pocket, and I said, that's the journey. And I said, like, no, it actually feels better being free now. So I met, there was a girl from our hometown. I stayed a few days in their house, and I was working for an Irish traveler then at that stage. I was organizing teams for dropping leaflets, and he was actually very good, very correct with me in regards to paying me and looking after me, that if I need some money up front to send for the kids or something like that, he was very good at that. But I did struggle living in my friend's house because the partner was drinking, and I had an issue with that, the tone of his voice that he was using and the things he was saying. And I said, like, no, I can't. So I said, like, I better sleep under the clear sky than living in an environment like that. Is something I did run away from home. I wouldn't go back to that. So I was basically under the blue sky in Ireland, living on a bench, and I met the most beautiful people at that time, the homeless people. I learned how they navigate their ways around. I learned that they have actually so much support from different charities. And the charity that I was looking, like, you was able to have a shower, you was able to have a place where to wash your clothes, you was able to have a warm meal. I was able to keep going with my work and earn money and send them home until I save up and found a place. And I meet someone and that was on the same path, both homeless. And I said, like, let's work things out and let's see how we can take things from here. Didn't work out. In 2012, I decided that things have to change. So I went at the recommendation of Sean Paul. Sean Paul was the traveler guy I was working with. And he recommended me to a cleaning company. And I said, oh, that's interesting. That's a different type of job. Let's try this one out. So I did work for a friend of his in a cleaning company for a few months. Didn't work out because at that stage I didn't have legal documents to be able to work legally in the country. We wasn't part of the EU at that stage or whatever was happening then. They was asking me to go to school. You had to be a student in order for you to be able to be employed. And didn't really work out. I did change to 3 cleaning jobs. And on the last one in particular, didn't work out. And I started to take jobs on my own for many years. And that was when I moved on my own, to my own place. A few years after, I brought my kids to Ireland. In 2014, my son, who was 6 at that stage, and my daughters in 2015. And they are with me ever since. They're not so drawn to Romania like I am. I will be more keen if tomorrow it will be for me to decide to move back home. I will move in a second. I wouldn't even think, but they are different. Yeah, there is no connection. After you leave Romania for many years, what's happening? Your friends, they move, they go, you don't have the same connection as a kid. But for me, it's different because even if I just sit on the ground at home, it's like I name it the calling of the land. It's like calling you home. And it's a great feeling every time I'm traveling home. And even just by being there for 2-3 days, it's enough for me to restore for 6 to a year. It's enough for me. But that's home. And home, it's a feeling. And every time I go home, I hold on to that feeling for a few days, sort everything, whatever it's happening with my mother assets, and come back quick. So I do enjoy Romania. It's a beautiful place. I'm actually from the north. I'm from Câmpulung Moldovenesc. It's 23,000 people city. In Bukovina, County Suceava. It's exactly on the border with Ukraine. We have our own traditions and culture that they are very kept alive now lately. And it seems like people are bringing everything that was like what the government tried to shut down, what they tried to cleanse, basically. And now all the weddings are done in traditional costumes, and on the days like Christmas or Easter or Sundays, everybody will dress traditionally. Like I think you've seen me in my traditional costume.
I have.
And
beautiful.
Yes, and that's a way of honoring our culture and our pure identity. This is the authentic us. This is us, who we are, the people who hold the power over the land, and they are there to protect it. And it does feel home, and it does feel like the heart is complete when we dress up. That's us. That's our pure identity, which has to be kept alive. So yes, in 2018. Until 2018, I was still running marathons, getting involved in community gardens and school projects and my kids' schools. But I found that it's much more there. Ireland, I look at Ireland. Ireland is the country of all opportunities for me. You find an opportunity in every single corner. You find beautiful people all around the country where you visit. There is goodness in everyone. And that was a hard lesson for me to learn. That no matter what people give you, there is something good in them. And if they give you something bad, it's because they don't know different. They didn't learn different. And what they give you, it's basically they are projecting what's happening with them, what they need. I did volunteer with Adventure Project Ireland in 2018 with my children and my boyfriend at that time, cleaning bricks from an old house owned by Waterways Ireland. And that was the start of me getting involved into what real work is.
Go on.
My kids, they did load up bricks for 2 days from morning to evening. And they was quite small at that time. My son was 7 and my daughter was 11 and 12. And and this is the way I taught them, like, you have to learn how to be involved within the community. I started working with Willie Whelan. Willie Whelan, he's an amazing mentor I had in the outdoor adventure activities. He did come up with the idea to create Cottage Adventure Club, a club that is very close to my heart. We did work with all the kids from the north inner city, taking them outdoors, take them kayaking, water sports, mountain activities, night activities, camping. As a volunteer, we did that as volunteers. And in the same time, in January 2018, because I was spending loads of money on sponsoring kids that was going through recovery back home with disabilities, I said, like, oh, let me get qualified. So the 2018, it's a turning point in my life in regards to like what's happening today. And I contacted Ger Casey, who's the faculty of Ireland for the Kinesiology College. And I said, like, whatever course that kinesiology, I thought it's kinetotherapy because this is what I was looking, physical thing for kids with disability. And I said, whatever it is, no worries, I will book the 4 weekends. I will do the Touch for Health. We'll take it from there. And I say, oh, I'm actually getting qualified after 4 weekends. That's exciting. I can work straight away on children every time I go home. The first weekend, I wasn't really impressed by Touch for Health. I said, like, what is this? All these muscles and all these energy fields and all the meridians. The second weekend started to click something. And I said, okay, this is more of my language. I've been working with energies all my life. So this is actually like what is really happening. I continued studying the diploma in kinesiology since 2018 until 2021. In the same time, got qualified as an outdoor leader. Still continue with Adventure Project Ireland until we got shut down. We do strongly believe that it was a way for us to be taken out, to be active, because we did have a very big positive impact in the community. The crime rate was reduced. We started to work with crime diversion programs. We started to work with people in recovery, people recovering from addiction, giving them like whatever I was learning from Touch for Health was their coping mechanism in regards to how to deal with their emotions, while we was taking them outside and doing activities. And it was massive, the impact, the positive impact it had on their life. And I loved it. And I said, that's the way. If we reach to a way of bringing health, complementary health with outdoor, we can actually create something. And I said at that time to Willie in 2018, 2019, I said, Willie, imagine if we will have this in every school in Ireland and we do the adventure activities through the schools. And he told me he was quite disappointed. And he said to me, Carmen, we tried. I've been contacting schools. I paid instructors from my own pocket for them to take kids from schools, for them to see that there is a different way of doing things and let kids be kids. And that shocked me. And I said, and what was the result? And he said, they will bring up the insurance. They will bring up, they don't have the funding to pay teachers to be out with them because they need teachers. And they brought up the equipment. So really sorted out the equipment for kids in order for him to bring them out. So that basically was kind of like a way of saying, whatever you're doing, you're not allowed here.
Mm.
So, and it did came up until like the COVID time. The COVID time kind of stopped everything. We still had some activities running despite COVID. We still went sometimes kayaking, and we still did like water sports and going for a cliff dive and jumping from the cliffs on Bullock Harbour in Dublin. And we still did things. But there was always something more to it. I was looking for something more that we can do and something that can be brought for the children in particular. My main area, it's focusing on the children, because I was that kid who didn't have a chance and somebody gave me a chance. Like Valerie Newton, she gave me a chance to have an education, because if I was depending on my mother, there was no education there. And she showed me that you can help, you can change, you can do something. So I always knew people will give what they have in their heart. And if there is nothing they can give, it's for you to give them something. So this is how it's working. In 2021, I had an incident. I was coming home from work. In all this period since 2012, up until 2021-22, I did clean private homes. I had my own clients and I was minding children and animals. I was babysitter for animals, which I loved, and children. And in the same time, I was getting qualified and working with different clients in regards to the health side of things. I was working into outdoors. I did volunteer with Cross Care. They have an area of outdoor, and I seen that they work differently, and I needed that knowledge in order to see what's lacking and how we can put things together. And I remember I said to Willie, I said, like, I will create a project that will incorporate the complementary therapies, small skills for the instructors in outdoors to be trained in, bringing them into their activities and work with children. And he said, Carmen, you're crazy. Every time he tells me I'm crazy, I just go above it. Let's move. Let's keep going. It's something. Let's figure it out. So in April 2021, I had an accident. While I was cycling home, I was hit from behind by a minibus taxi. I didn't have physical problems, like just my shoulder was really sore and my ligaments, they was kind of strained, but I did suffer a massive concussion. That concussion, it was a life changer. It's like basically like a silent killer, how I called it, because it does kill the dreams of many people. And from me being very active, because I was active in jiu-jitsu, I did compete at the European level. I got silver in the European Championship. I got gold on the World Championship of Jiu-Jitsu, representing Ireland in Romania. That was a funny one. I went fighting in Romania, Jiu-Jitsu, representing Ireland as a Romanian citizen, and I was like, But they loved it, and I created great contact with Romania. And it was lovely. It was a lovely feeling to be back home. I was cycling all the time. I was having really so many activities and involved in so many projects, community gardens, community projects, involved in the schools. And in that moment when the accident happened, everything stopped. Completely everything stopped. I was stuck to a bed for a month, didn't know who I was. I wasn't eating for days, and there was massive nightmares and massive trauma. I had like 14 visits to my GP in that month, and he said at one stage, what can I do more for you? He tried everything. He said, I give you sleeping tablets if you need. I give you Valium. I give you this. I give you that. And I said, no, it's something more. I feel like I'm empty, because I did experience an outer body experience when I got hit. I left the body. The body was lying there on my back, and I was just looking at it, and nobody was helping. And I said, like, what's happening here? And then I realized, okay, I left the body. How I come back? So I had to come back. Because
as you do.
If I was gone, there was many unfinished business. Wasn't right. They take me to hospital, and in the hospital, one of the doctors who took me to X-ray, he said, oh, you're the third one for today. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you're the lucky one. The other two ones, they didn't really make it. And I said, wow. That's interesting. And then I started to smile and say, oh, isn't that great? And then it kind of hit me. I'm alive. That's everything you need. I can fix my bones. Whatever is happening, I can fix it. We went to X-ray, did everything. No broken bones. He brought me back, and he looked at me and he could not believe it. I got discharged. I asked them to discharge me that day in particular from the hospital, because it was still COVID and the country was still in lockdown. And I was concerned for my own health. The paramedics, they did great when they took me in. They did respect my decisions in regards to no testing, no nothing. I said, like, please, I can't be dealing with that. And they was very respectful in regards to my own choices. But they was even aware that in certain circumstances, you wasn't able to be kept in the hospital. And the nurses, they've been very nice nurses. And I said, if I don't have no broken bones, I will be happy to go home. So I got discharged at midnight that night, came home. That was the turning point. I was very lucid for the start of the period after the accident. But at some stage, something happened, because I lost it completely. I didn't know who my kids was. I didn't know who I was basically at that time, I wasn't with my partner at the time, the boyfriend I had for a few years. I was on my own, and he came back to help me with the kids. And I said, like, I don't know you. What are you doing in my house? That's not right. So I asked him, please don't come back again. And it was a very interesting period, because I realized everything I knew before then, everything got wiped away. I wasn't remembering nothing. No dates, no name. And nothing of who I was, why I was here, why I came back, why I feel empty. I was feeling like basically I'm just the shell of a pearl, but I didn't know who I was. And yeah, after a month, I took the decision to start the recovery. I tried all type of avenues, from the conventional medicine, neurologist. I had 3 physiotherapists in the same time. I did work with neurologist, ophthalmologist, because I had at that time lost vision in my right eye 3/4. I went to psychotherapy. I went to in Romania. There was like there is still up to now for Romanian mentality for some people that if you go into psychotherapy or you're seeing a psycholog or something like that, you have to be put in a psychiatric ward. You shouldn't be around people. The society will shut you down. So that kind of gave me, like, in the back of my mind was that fear of how people will see me if I ask help from these people. And I said, like, but they don't sleep in my place. They don't feel what I feel, so I don't care anymore. I just need some way of coping with things. We was lucky we had savings, and I remember I called John Prendergast, who's an amazing psychotherapist in Athlone in Ireland, and I said to him, do you remember the year when I told you in 2020 in the class, because I did the class with him for business management, and when I will ring you when I will hit the rock bottom. That's the moment. I did hit the rock bottom, and I just broke down crying. And he was very comforting, and he was very patient and very calm. And he said, it's okay for you to feel like that. I will get back to you. Just now you take your time and let it out. And I'll be back with an appointment. And that was the start of psychotherapy with him. It did help a lot. In regards to dealing with the PTSD and anxiety, depression, and everything that was happening, because at that stage I was becoming paranoid of the environment. I was afraid to leave my house if I get hit again. I didn't went on my bike anymore. And all my 3 good bikes, they went up in a skip. I got a skip, and I said, like, they have to go. So yeah, I had an amazing physiotherapist, Richard Dodd, here in Dublin, who said to me, you're the worst case of a brain concussion that I seen in my clinic. You came into my clinic the first day when I seen you, and your body was just the body. There was no light in your eyes. It was like you was walking dead. You physically actually left the body. You was the walking dead. And he said, like, physically, he did help me for a few months, because I couldn't bring my hand to my mouth to feed myself and a few other things. And coordination, orientation, focus, concentration, things like that, they was out of the window. He did great. He did refer me to neurology, to another specialist, Frank, from the sports surgery clinic here in Santry. And Richard discharged me, and they passed me on to the sports surgery clinic. And then another few months of recovery with them. And I remember one day, one guy came to me, Colm Farrell, I think was his name. He said, you do have all the skills. You do have all the knowledge. You are a personal trainer. You are into outdoor. You do all these you did all these activities, because he did a history background on me. You did jiu-jitsu. You have all the skills, and you did kinesiology for a few years. You have all the skills for you to recover yourself. And I looked at him and I said, like, but I don't know nothing. And in that moment, I didn't know nothing. My brain was not functioning. I could not integrate the physical recovery with the emotional and the trauma recovery. I could not integrate them. And he said, like, this is the only session I will do with you. I won't take you further for another session, but let's make that clear. And I remember I asked him, can you give me a piece of paper and a pen? And I was trying to figure out to write. And he said, you have to put this together with this, combine them, and that's your recovery, because you do have the skills. And then it clicked. I went home afterwards. I just sat for a day or two in my room, and I said, okay, what is this guy telling me about? It kind of hit me hard, and I said, like, that's good. Let's work it out. So I do have the kinesiology. I do have the outdoor. I do have all my friends from outdoor. I do have my teachers. all my mentors, I can work it out. And I remember I called Jer Casey, my teacher from kinesiology, and I said, Jer, I won't be able to have the exams because I was supposed to have my kinesiologist exams. I won't be able because I need to relearn everything. But this time is different because I need to relearn everything differently. So I did. I did resit many courses. And I did put many things together. And then was the moment when I started to plan up for my own business, my own side of things. And it did work out. In 2021, I started the college for outdoor for 2 years, and it worked perfectly with my recovery. I used it getting qualified, and while getting qualified, recover fully from the accident. Silvia Marina from New Zealand, actually, she played an important role into transgenerational trauma because everything was brought up to surface. And in August 2021, I started studying transforming DNA memories, for which I am a facilitator now. I'm teaching the course myself now. And yeah, it goes to the root cause of everything. And that was a turning point on my full recovery. And it could not be possible to be who I am without all the people around me and my children, my partner, and all the teachers and mentors that I had. As you know, John is my partner now, and he's a great support. I have 3 beautiful, strong children who are wonderful. And that's why I am where I am today, because I do know it's much more to life than what has been happening. And this is a brief of my life.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell, yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's incredible, you know, like all the things that you've shared, all the different dates, and that you've been through all that trauma, lost it all and regained it all, and it's opened up another world for you. And I take my hat off to you, because you are an incredible woman. And like I said, you are a warrior on the front, and a lot of people don't know all about you and all of what you do, but I know like some of it, and honestly, you're absolutely amazing. And like, I want to thank you for such a beautiful sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So where are you going now with all of this? Where is it going to take you from here onwards?
The aim going onwards with everything I did live and everything that I've been experienced is to bring the knowledge, the skills, and to work together with, because this is not just a woman job. This is the job of a collective, of a unity, of a community. And we do have in the country qualified outdoor instructors to facilitate every secondary school in Ireland. We do have trained Touch for Health instructor, kinesiologist practitioners. We do have practitioners that they are looking to work with children. And where we go from here, it's building better and teaching the next generation and focusing on the personal development, focusing on the trauma, clear the trauma, work with emotions, clear the phobia, and look into the root cause of everything that it's happening in people's life. I do work with individuals, I do work with groups, with communities. But as I said, it's not just a woman job. And awareness is very important in regards to everything that is being done. And I'm a membership secretary of the Kinesiology Association Ireland, which it's a great committee. They are very good at what they do, and they are working tireless in regards to going forward and working with the kinesiologists to encourage the teaching of kinesiology themselves and for the practitioners, and bring students on board. In regards to the health, I'm working with Health Services ERA, which is a sovereign organization that stands alone and that aims to bring better healthcare for the people, in basically work with the complementary therapy hand in hand with the conventional treatment. So where we go from here, it's building Halcyon Health as a platform to provide the right health and healthcare for the people from all angles, from ancestral trauma, to physical trauma, to the nutritional aspect of it, to the electrical connection in the bodies. So we're looking at all the angles that can help people achieve their optimal health.
And that's the key, isn't it? Is finding your optimum health, and you know, the reasons behind why you're going through what you're going.
Yes. Everything lies with the individual, and everything it's done in self-responsibility model. Like I did encounter in the clinic people, they'll be, oh, we're looking to get healthy quick. Are you willing to take this journey? I can give you all the tools and skills and knowledge you need in order for you to make it right. But what is more important, when you leave the therapy session with me, are you willing to take the steps that needed to take in order for you to achieve the optimal health? Because this is the journey of an individual. And it takes up big courage and strength. And many times people won't be able to have the support they need. And this is what we're lacking these days, is the support.
And it's a support of networks, isn't it? It's not so much, with respect, doctors have their places, but like hospitals are sick places. You know, you go there, you're sick and you die and all sorts. It's not a healthy place, you know.
And in regards to the conventional medicine, right? And you see, as you know yourself, kinesiology deals with the root cause of underlying of the health issues, right? From my own perspective in particular, is the only type of complementary therapy that I studied so far that deals with that. If you're going to a doctor, they will give you something to deal with the symptoms, but they won't be able to go to the root cause. I did train with Marco Rado, who's an amazing chiropractor and kinesiologist from Italy. And he said for 9 years, he did try in Italy as a chiropractor to bring kinesiology into the hospital. And he ended up going on his own. Because that will reduce, bringing the complementary therapies with conventional medicine, that's a big aim for us to have. And we are having that aim because they will reduce the surgery. They will reduce all this misdiagnosis. They will reduce many things. And even like in nutrition in particular, like we do in kinesiology nutritional testing, we're working with the energy of the of the nutrients that the body will need. The body knows better, and we are working with the body energies, and the body tells us what they need. The client might tell us something in the clinic, but the body will tell us different, and we follow the body. And this is what I love about kinesiology itself. I followed the body, and I had one lady came to me, and she said, "Oh, my back pain is killing me." But her priority in the body wasn't the back pain. Was her liver was out and she was barely functioning. She was like at the point of turning yellow, the liver to break down, and she needed a particular nutrient for the liver. So the body tells.
Yeah, and you know, like it's listening to the body. You know, like people say, well, you know, because like I've had different things going on, and I've done my best to listen to my body or find out what's going on. And I always do alternative everywhere I can when I can. Yeah, but like I said before, kinesiology for me, I just love kinesiology. That's my first choice wherever I go, to find out, well, what is the root cause going on? What is it I'm missing, or what do I need to know that my body's doing its best to tell me?
And I do understand why there is a lot of people, they're hesitant to take the first step in regards to what's happening to them. They prefer to live with an issue because, you see, when we come into this world, we're coming with so many traumas that they're passed on from generation to generation. We might not be affected directly by it. Like, say, for instance, a famine. It didn't affect us directly, but it did affect our ancestors. They didn't deal with that issue at that time. So it was embedded in their DNA, and it was passed on from a generation to another one. And people will feel the need to stock up, to pile food, to buy loads of things, but they wouldn't know why. And I was one of those because my mother lived through a famine. in 1960 when she was 9 years of age. And when I did transforming DNA memories through my own like meditation things, I connected with ancestors and they showed me what happened. It's very important to be very respectful of everyone's journey and to understand that everyone is their own way. They are in their own way. They're unique. So we can't be saying, oh, you should do that. You see, the way we see things, they're personal to everyone. You have the ancestral trauma. You do have the personal trauma. You do have everything that people, they do bring on their life. Many people, they don't want to cope with things because they're afraid of what outcome will be. It's very important for us to be very respectful. That's why everything is done in self-responsibility model. And we have to be very comforting in regards to like certain things when working with people. I'm looking forward to the next chapter anyway.
Yeah. Well, your life is not boring by any means, is it?
No.
I don't know, you got time to pause for breath?
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
I'm going to interrupt now because people don't know that Carmen needs to catch a plane and she needs to finish up the show and pack her bags and move from her current premises in half an hour to get out to the airport. Is there anything in a finale you want to say before you go?
I would like to thank both of you for having me here, all the audience that they're watching the show, and all the people who are subscribed to all your channels and my channels. I would like to say a big thank you to everyone that came into my path, and everything they shared with me was positive or negative. They helped me to be who I am today and be my authentic self. And I do encourage everyone to take a small step today and to focus on building towards their authentic self, because the authentic self carries the highest vibration into the universe. And it will bring, once we send this ripple effect of authenticity into the universe, it will bring all the positive things in our life. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Really enjoyed it.
It's been an absolute blessing. I've really enjoyed your sharing. It's lovely to see you again, and I look forward to when we meet again later on. And safe travels, and give my love to the guys and girls in Birmingham.
I will. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me here. And
very brilliant. Isn't it nice just listening?
Yeah. And thank you. Go on.
We will be having guests again in November. They will be coming to Ireland, and in near future we'll be traveling to New Zealand, and we have an invitation to visit New Zealand and visit the tribes, which I'm looking forward to it. So we might meet then, Jeffrey. You never know, or on which boat we might be sailing the ship. The seas.
I think 68 days is enough at this moment in time.
Yeah.
I barely survived 5, so.
Well, thank you for everybody for tuning in this week to Dream in the New Dream, and same time, same place next week. And thank you once again, Carmen, and thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.